Items to the Westfield Leader advertised on January 5th, 2017. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger, promptly posted on the Municipal Public Bulletin Board, and following the office of the Municipal Clerk informed the public the time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PPL 1975. Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor.
See, Mr. Goriello is out this evening. Mr. Goriello is out.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Nod is out. Will be with us. Mr. Afterona, please.
Good evening, how are you?
Finding yourself.
Good, thank
Do you
you.
have any reports for us this evening?
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Ariema.
Yes, I just wanted to mention the email that I sent on Friday requesting several hours for code report staff.
I believe we have a consensus that it's okay with the council.
All right, great. And also, I sent you an email, I printed it also, put it in your packet on Friday, about the bonding for the infrastructure grant and the bonding for, you got an award for your 2017 New Jersey DOT. So I didn't go and prepare the bond because this came like today, I was going to prepare it, and I said, oh, well, you will save money on bonding costs if you put it together. You put it together last year. So I gave you all the figures there on the email. Did everybody get a chance to review that?
Yes.
Is everybody okay with that? Proceed with that way?
The only thing I have with the email, the last one for 40,000, it says Spruce Avenue from East Street to Sports Complex.
Yeah?
I don't think that's right. I think it's a dead end part of Spruce from.
Let me look.
It is the next from east on Spruce. So it just needs to be,
Yeah, but it's but it's going to be from the milling on Spruce, but it's from.
oh, yes, it is, yes.
That
makes sense for
You guys are short, don't catch up? It says east and I penciled over it Oaks, but I cut and pasted this and that's how that happened. So it's Oaks, you're correct.
Okay.
I'll fix that.
I just wanted to say I'm supporting this and I, would like it to move forward, obviously. But just to keep in, I'd ask the council members just to keep in mind, in my streets and roads report, I am going to talk a little bit about some equipment and trucks that are in need of replacement. And so I'm not saying we don't do it this year, but I think in the back of our minds, we have to start to look for that money somewhere. So maybe we take a year off of paving, or if there's an idea, I don't know. That's something for the finance committee, I think, to just take a look at. And just keep in the back of your head that we will need to start, I think, replacing some of this equipment and finding the money somewhere. So while we're bonding for something big now, and I'm okay with it right now, in the future, I think we'll just need to start looking at to where, priorities for that are.
Well, it doesn't matter if the roads are falling apart with the other stuff, so I think the roads are more important than the equipment. But,
All right, well, we'll discuss
Well, I
it.
can assure you that the finance committee is thoroughly looking into it, and I certainly look forward to the report later. But I do know that we have some very aging equipment down at the street department that residents are even concerned about. One brought it up at the last council meeting, so.
Okay,
And that's all I have.
thank you. Any unfinished business? Any new business? I have a couple of things this evening. On May 31st, I participated in the Union County Mayor's Roundtable, Mayors Means Business. One of the main topics was the CLEAN program, which is Community Law Enforcement Addiction Recovery, with the support of the county sheriff, prosecutor, and police departments. Individuals must ask to participate in this program. They will be screened by a network of professionals to get them to appropriate medical treatment. The second topic was the Union County Hero Program, Veterans Success Center. We'll honor our veterans by assuring them access to services they deserve, such as employment training, health and mental referrals, and housing assistance. There were many other issues discussed, and I'll be happy to discuss them and share the information with someone later if they care to. By this time, you probably heard that the one-year-old 119-pound black bear was found hiding spot under the residence deck on Walnut Street. Through the efforts of the Garland Police and the county wildlife officer, the bear was tranquilized and moved to a safe location after being tagged and identified. I'd like to personally thank the chief and captain and all the officers who assisted in this effort to keep this potentially dangerous situation under control at all times. Just a reminder, this coming Saturday, June 17th, Mayor Saturday, as in the past, I will hold the meeting at the Borough Hall beginning at 11 a.m. I've invited Councilman Sarno to join me. Please stop by the chat with us to express your concerns. My report would not be complete if I didn't thank all who participated in our annual Gargle Rocks. As I said in the past, the Art of Town explodes into a festival of fun and entertainment. That's all I have this evening. Comments or matters for discussion from members of council? Councilwoman Blumenstock.
I just wanted to thank the Greater Westville Chamber of Commerce for Garland Rocks. It was a great day. I think fun was had by all who attended. And I'd also like to give my thanks to the police department for the quick response yesterday with the bear. It was an interesting day, and I think it was handled very well.
Yes. Thank you. Councilman Kukrow.
Yes, thank you. I have two items. I would also like to personally thank the Garland Police Department. This was like right in my backyard almost.
I was in your backyard.
Did you? Who was trespassing in my yard? I was chasing everybody. And Department of Fish and Wildlife Group for taking the time and having the patience to make sure the bear that was in my neighbor's yard was transported safe and sound. They had the patience of saints. We're also grateful this had such a happy ending. Our concern obviously was only for the bear. It took them hours to get there. This should remind us all that we are overbuilding to such a degree that we're taking away the natural habitat away from God's creatures, and there is no end in sight. Think before you act and realize all these animals deserve a place to live. They were here before us all, after all. What an exciting day for us, and more importantly, a great ending. How grateful we should all be. And also, I have something to say about the last council meeting. I was very disheartened to see the last council meeting, to see elected officials ganging up on a resident taxpayer and Board of Ed member. I cannot get this out of my mind for weeks. Usually I don't speak about this stuff, but I really felt the need to put it forward this time. I look like a group of grade school bullies, and these are the people that were elected to sleep. Shameful rhetoric and talking points that were almost rehearsed to try and meet their agenda with their non-stop party politics. I've seen this almost every time there is a council meeting. I thought national politics were bad. They looked exactly the same at a local level. It is childish and non-productive. I thought in this country you were innocent until proven guilty. The letter from the Board of Ed was submitted to council a day or two later. He told you that he was not allowed to submit the statement. He was following protocol and procedure, but no benefit of doubt was given. A sorry state of affairs. If you actually believe what you were saying, do you think that your total lack of respect for residents will garner you support? I have seen it all. In a little over a year, it is getting worse. Past council members and appointed officials question the ones elected to do the people's business. Maybe if you spent more time listening, they would still be up there attempting to govern, but they don't. Instead, they vote against the people, do not listen to what they have to say, endorse maniacal rules and regulations forcing taxpayers to get attorneys to represent them with no end in sight. Maybe if they spent more time listening and less time with their political agenda, everyone would be better off and Garland would be a better place to live. It used to be a great place to live, but the behavior of a few makes life miserable for all the others. Has no one respect for anyone at all except for their own views. I was not raised that way. My mother always said, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. We can agree to disagree and move on. That was the way I was raised. I would like to hear a public apology for the reprehensible way this resident was treated. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Pezzarelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, wait a minute, you skipped over the last one.
I stand corrected. Councilman Lazaro.
Well, I'm going to first respond to Councilman Kukrow. By no means do I want to disrespect any residents, and I apologize if any resident felt disrespected. At the same time, I feel very passionate about education. I'm an educator myself, and sometimes when you're passionate, you say things that you're passionate about. And I felt in that circumstance that it was a situation where someone was stating something that I felt was designed to make people get really scared and fearful of things. I don't think that is anything wrong. I don't think it's attacking. It's my viewpoint, just like the resident had a viewpoint. we have different viewpoints. And I think I'm very respectful of those viewpoints. I'm respectful of your viewpoints.
Absolutely.
I listen to you. So I don't think your characterization of this council, as you make it seem like school bullies, is a fair and accurate way to analyze this council. So I certainly am willing to work with anybody, and I'm willing to listen to anybody, and I want to listen to all different views before I make my decisions. So, at any rate, I wanted to also, on a completely different matter, I wanted to respond to the letter sent by the planning board in regards to the passage of resolution number 17-122, which passed on May 23rd of this year. This was a resolution that awarded Phillips Griegel the contract to plan Russo 2, the property across the street from the Casal Petro properties. I just want to make it clear that my decision, and I can only speak for myself, was based on a careful review of the proposal that each of the 4 planners submitted. Garwood's Borough Planner, along with the planning board, should be commended for all the hard work and efforts put into the redevelopment plan for Russo 1. But being new to council this year, I don't want to award contracts just because they've done past work for the town. The proposal from Harbor Consultants, the preferred choice of the planning board, was significantly less detailed on the scope of how they would go about completing the job and cost $3,000 more than Phillips and Griegel. Also, I do respect the opinions of the planning board as they have years of experience and expertise. So I did reach out to a planning board member to get his advice. I also reached out to neighboring towns, planning board members, and other council people to solicit their feedback on the quality of each company's proposal and the firm's work. There was a wide variety of opinions, but at the end of the day, I see these proposals like resumes. And because I thought Phillips and Griegel had the strongest overall proposal and heard very positive feedback about past projects, I chose them. I'd like to make it clear that Mr. Northgrave, our redevelopment attorney, solicited these proposals on our behalf and did not persuade us on one way or the other to choose one firm over the other. Finally, in response to the planning board's concerns that their role has changed, I don't see it as that, but as a reorder of the process in this particular project. We were in a very difficult situation with the affordable housing negotiations, making it challenging to not have more control on the redevelopment of the Casal Petro project. Along with the very tight timetable that resulted from the affordable housing settlement, it's created a necessity to have the council solicit more leverage in being able to negotiate on behalf of the citizens, as we were the ones that are voted on at election day to represent the people. I value the planning board's expertise and knowledge, and while the process on this development has changed in terms of the order in which redevelopment occurs, it does not cut out the importance of the planning board's role in current and future developments. I do value their advice greatly and will continue to seek out their counsel. I also am open to creating opportunities for both legislative bodies to meet when possible to work together to create an open dialogue. At the end of the day, I look forward to foster responsible redevelopment in partnership with the planning board and through feedback from the public. And that's it.
Thank you, and I apologize for jumping over you.
That's it.
Councilman.
Can I add, I just wanted to say I'm glad you did bring this up, and something you mentioned about having some meetings between representatives of the planning board and the council, I think are much needed. I think there's been a sort of lack of communication, and when we have such big projects going on, that can lead to some problems. So I think we have to sort of head it off, and so if we could do something with monthly or every other month sort of meetings between representatives, I think that would be good.
I'll just say that this time I have spoken to the chairman of the planning board. He is out of town at this moment, but we both concur that we should have a meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Petrozelli?
That's all right. Thank you, Mayor. The only thing that I really have to bring up tonight is, I know that in your council packet, at our last meeting, we talked about the neighboring towns and parking fees. So I did want to make sure that it was okay that we amend the current parking fee and that we increase it from $32 to $38. So I guess, is that something that I direct to Catherine, Tina?
Yes,
Or
yes.
do that? Okay.
We'll draft it.
I assume we have a consensus on the council.
Yeah.
Yes, talked about
Yes.
last
Okay.
week.
And that was also, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And that was also the recommendation by the court administrator to go to that rate of $38, and that would leave $21 of the $38 parking ticket here in Garwood. So,
Which we only get half of that.
right.
Right.
So, but that's really about it. I mean, as far as making any type of an apology for what happened at the last meeting, I'm not going to apologize, okay? As a father of a severely special needs child, you walk a day in my life, and then you'll be apologizing to me for any kind of comments that are said like that about to try to discriminate against kids with special needs and try to put a spotlight on them, okay? Walk a day in my life and come here, and you want me to apologize to you. That's not happening.
Well, I'm sorry, I would have to say, you know what, I think we can all, if we're honest, admit when we're wrong. I've done it more times than I would care to admit. But you know what, the way that this person was treated was reprehensible. You know, we're elected officials. You know, I mean, we did have the document from the Board of Ed. I mean, like I said, I do believe everybody's innocent until proven guilty. And, you know.
And just for the record, again, I did send a letter to the school board about that.
Okay, and also as far as Councilman Lazaro, I do agree with your whole second part of what you stated about planning board, and we did choose that firm based on very explicit recommendations. The first part, I do respect your opinion. You're not usually a maniac up here, so one can say that. And what did I do already? Okay. You know, you do show a lot of respect, and I can understand where your passion came out on that. And so it really wasn't directed so much at you. So that's the way I feel about it. And I believe, you know, I'm sorry when somebody does something, you know, an apology goes a long way.
Well, also with the statement, it does say revised across the top, so I don't know how it was changed from the couple days after that meeting when we got this. So it does say revised, so who knows what the original statement said. So all I'm saying is that from me, you'll never get an apology from me for trying to discriminate against children with special needs and trying to highlight how much they cost.
Well, I didn't hear anybody do that.
Well, I did.
Okay, can we continue on with this, Mayor?
Yes, Mayor. Not to belabor the point, but you said you sent the letter to the Board of Education. Could you share with us what that?
I don't have one, but I just talked about the statement that was made compared to what the original statement was.
Okay, because I did notice a discrepancy as well, so.
That's correct.
But just on that, I mean, Councilwoman Kugler, I feel as though we've been excellent at reaching across the aisle and really not having politics on this dais, so I have to say I was a little disappointed to hear a prepared statement sort of accusing the other council people of that. Generally speaking, I think this council has worked really well together, had many 6-0 votes where we all agree, we've had many bipartisan votes, and sometimes they go down partisan lines, but that's fine. We can all respectfully disagree, and I think that's what we, you know, that's our job. We don't have to agree on everything, but that topic in particular was brought to us by a resident and a member of another elected body, and I just am about procedure when it comes to those types of interactions, because I know we can't go there and belabor a point on behalf of an entire group if that's not really where it's coming from. So that's really where I came at it from. But anyway, you know, I think that we can definitely move forward from this point, that the Board of Education and the council did have a good meeting a couple weeks ago. And so let's just try to keep it positive. We're really all here for the same purpose, to benefit the town, the adults and children alike. So let's just hopefully stay positive and stay respectful and follow some procedure between elected bodies. But I do have a couple other things, Mayor, and I apologize, I'm just a little bit under the weather tonight. But I just wanted to, I don't know, Councilwoman Blumenstock, did you want to bring up the green team at all? Okay, please bring that up first, because I have some comments on that. And you were there all day Saturday and Sunday. I was not, so.
Thank you. You know what, I should have put that in my report. The Green Team of Garwood had a very successful weekend with their first beautification project. The beautification committee of the Green Team decided to spruce up Georgiana Memorial Park on the corner of 4th and Walnut. And I think they did a great job. It was very hot, and they stayed out all day. And it was a good group of people, and everybody pitched in, and we had some donations of some flowers, and some mulch, and we sanded and painted and stained the gazebo, which took the majority of the time. So that took until Sunday, where a couple of members spent all day in that heat doing that, and so I very much appreciate that. And it was a good first effort, and we also had one of the Girl Scout troops reach out to us and ask if they could go along with us and sort of adopt a area to do that day as well. And so they did the memorial over on Locust and Oak, and they did a great job, and they did some cleaning up over at the rec center. And we all agreed to continue working together and keep that up, because there are some more areas we want to spruce up around town. So stay tuned for more of that. So thank you.
Very good. I'm glad you brought that up, because I just wanted to say that being a part of the Green Team has been excellent the past few months. The volunteers we have are really excited by these different projects and really engaged. I know my subcommittee is excited. We're talking about having a movie night one night, having a green fair to promote sustainability efforts, and the work that the Green Team subcommittee that you head up did a tremendous job over at the Guerreri Gazebo and Park. It really looks beautiful. And I've had to say, there's just been so much outpouring of volunteerism. We always have it, but in the recent months, it's really spruced up the town. And I know the Girl Scout troop went over and took care of the Lions Club gazebo, sorry, that's a throwback. The Lions Club bus shelter over on North Avenue. They invited the Lions Club members, of which I'm one of them, to go over and paint a hand. And it looks really nice, so if you're not sure who did that work, it was the work of the Girl Scouts and their troop moms. And also, too, with Garwood Rocks, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, because, again, another tremendous year. A little rain could not damper our parade here in Garwood. It was really a great event, and through the help of the Chamber of Commerce, we've been able to have those new banners put up along the streets in town. I believe they're all up by now. The ones to honor our police department and our volunteer fire department and EMS, which do, again, great work for Garwood at minimal to no cost. So I just want to thank everybody.
And if I may, just the Mayor's Wellness Committee is well on its way. First initiative in September, we'll be starting a 3K walk with the mayor on Mayor's Saturday. I'm also in discussion with ShopRite for them to host a nutrition walk of the store. And also, too, we're going to be establishing some type of food drive. So that's our first 3 initiatives at this point.
3 miles at first shot, not 3 blocks. Okay.
1.83.
Mayor, that might be your best attended Mayor Saturday. I have a feeling.
I would hope so. Okay. Councilman, you're finished?
I am.
Okay,
Thanks, Mayor.
Very good. We'll move on to public comment. Is anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone, state your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Be ready.
Thanks. Dr. Rulli, 55 4th Avenue. I don't care if you're apology, number 1. Number 2, the letter that was read, Mr. Lazaro, was on behalf of the Board of Ed. Okay? If you have a problem with the facts that were in that letter, Board of Ed meeting starts in about 7 minutes. You can go down there now and address that. What had happened last week, and thank you, Councilman Guerrero, for your statements. A few months ago, the Board of Ed president read a letter on behalf of the Board of Ed in front of the planning board. Mayor Lombardo, you were there.
Absolutely. I was there.
You were there. Councilman Sarno was there. A couple more people in the audience were there. So they heard the letter. Then I read a letter on behalf of the Board of Ed. Prior to the council meeting, you guys met with the Board of Ed, the night before actually. Were these concerns brought up with the president and the superintendent at that meeting? No. Well, how come 24 hours later, all of a sudden, was an issue? I can answer that. It was a choreographed political stunt on your part. 24 hours down the road, please, just indulge me for a little bit, okay? It was a political stunt. We all knew it. And then, even more disturbing and sickening was how you labeled special needs children. And you laughed about it. And like robots, you guys all nodded, like you do about everything. 1 more minute, please, okay? I'm
listening. I got your time right here.
A few years ago, my cousin, who was or still is, a volunteer in the church and was librarian at school, one morning, it was a beautiful day, she dropped her daughter off at school in kindergarten. Little girl Sophia was in kindergarten at the time. She goes inside school, so they're going to be a little bit late. And this is Doesn't matter if she's my cousin, it's just the validity of it. And she had to do some stuff at the church, okay? She goes to the church, leaves the daughter at school, and does what she has to do. On her way back to school, she's pulling into the parking lot, there's a police car there, and all of a sudden she hears all these sirens. There's ambulances, police cars, all pulling in. She has no idea what's going on at this point. And this is 100% true. She has no idea what's going on. Her phone starts blowing up, what's happening, we're hearing thoughts, we're hearing stories, we're hearing stories. And it really hit her when a police officer walked out of the school in tears. She had no idea what was going on in the school at that time. But as a part of the administration, she had to stay back. She was in the parking lot. There was mass chaos out there, helicopters overhead, and the kids started walking out in single file. She's asked to help. Each one of these kids had a target on their back. You understand what that means. She would later found her daughter, who had been hiding in the classroom closet in the Sandy Hook Elementary School. She had a target on her back. She had to walk out of that school passing kids that were just at her birthday party a week earlier, 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds. They had a target on their back. Special needs kids, whatever you want to label them, had targets on their back. That was extremely irresponsible of you. The night before you guys threw us around and nodded like robots was the Manchester City bombing, where all these kids at a kids' concert had targets on their back. So what do we got? We got Islamic terrorists, think kids have a target on their back. Maniacal, drug-induced, psychotic individuals that were walking through school. And apparently some conspiracy-ridden politician wannabes think that. And yes, you should apologize, not to me, but to every student for thinking that way. I don't care if you think you're an educator or not. That was your comment. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Oh, go back to the video of when I read the letter. Because in the video, I turn to you and I say, it's not up to me to give you the letter. It's up to the president of the student board that you agree to it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Patterson?
I'll go last.
Okay, you go last.
G. Gennady, 440 Spruce Avenue. First, I want to speak as the Executive Director of the Greater Westfield Area Chamber, and I want to thank the comments made here this evening about the Garwood Rocks event. I do want to thank the committee, which certainly is Carol Carney and Mike Martin and the other members of the Board of Directors of the Chamber who worked that day. I want to thank the Police Department and the DPW Department for the great work that they also did. And Union County, the SLAP organization from Union County and all the Union County police and other vehicles that were here that day. So it takes a lot of people to put an event together.
Thank you.
So secondly, as a member of the Planning Board, I've been asked by Steve Greed, who could not be here this evening, he's in Texas on vacation visiting family, to read the letter that was kind of discussed previously, but I'd like to read it into the record what the letter actually says. Dated June 7th, Mayor and Council, I am writing at the direction of the Garwood Planning Board, herein called the Board. Pursuant to the Board's unanimous direction, direction at its meeting on May the 24th, 2017. The Board wishes to express its concern regarding the action of the Mayor and Council in adopting Resolution 17-22, which passed on May 23rd of 2017. The Board is not questioning the Mayor and Council's authority nor the legality of Resolution 17-122. However, the Board believes that the Planning Board's role will be substantially altered due to the passage of this resolution. Consequently, the Board requests guidance and communication from all of you Garwood's elected leaders regarding the Board's official role going forward. In the past, as per NJSA 40:55D-1, the Garwood Planning Board's role has always been, quote, to regulate development and to promote good planning practices and to provide for the appropriate design, location, nature of the uses or development of all lands in this borough in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, general welfare, and protect private property values, end quote. In addition to recommending in open public meetings the hiring of outside consultants and planners to the mayor and council. In addition, the volunteer members of the planning board have always taken their appointed positions very seriously. Clearly, the passage of the recent resolution by the Borough Council substantially alters decades of past Garwood Planning Board procedural and operational precedent. In light of this same, and with all respect, the board would like the following inquiries of the Borough Council. 1, prior to the passage, why wasn't the resolution discussed with the planning board by the mayor and council, considering that the Garwood already has a borough planner, which the taxpayers have already paid for? The borough planner has worked on most, if not all, of Garwood's recent successful developments, including Phase 1 of Casale Petrol Properties and The Point. And the borough planner, who is a well-respected resident of the town, has served Garwood very well and has always had Garwood's interests at heart. Why was Resolution 17-122 discussed in a closed executive session, not open to the public, not open for public discussion and comment, given that a contract was not in effect at the time? Why was the resolution contract being awarded to Phillips Price and Griceville LLC not bid on? In the view of the Borough Council, what was the deciding factor for the selection of this company? Your decision to hire them, a firm which hasn't done business in Garwood in the past, begs the question, is there a relationship for such firm and Mr. Northgrave, who you're designated redevelopment counsel? Are Mr. Northgrave and the firm wholly independent of the anticipated redeveloper, Mr. Russo? Will they put Garwood's interest first? Will the Garwood Planning Board have a role going forward in future developments such as the paperboard? Whatever the answer to this inquiry, will the mayor and council have the courtesy to communicate to the board its intentions? Volunteer members of the Garwood Planning Board, due to the role being altered, the lack of communications with the mayor and council and with the board, the fact that the council going out, lack of the contract going out to bid, the lack of public discussion, the lack of transparency, has deeply concerned the passage of Resolution 17-122, and therefore most unanimously expressed opposition to the adoption of the same without first answering the above questions. Thank you for your cooperation in a serious matter. We look forward to your response. Sincerely, Stephen D. Gray, Chairman of the Garwood Planning Board.
Thank you. Do you have any comments, Mr. Becker?
Yeah, I can address it if you want me to.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
1 second.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Narcisse.
Some issues are actually aren't at me, to you, but I'll do what I can. Number one, Garwood has a borough planner whom the taxpayers are already paying. That's not true. Actually, Mr. Harbor Consultants is being paid by the redeveloper through an escrow account established. That is not part of the normal planning consulting services. I can't speak to what the consultant has done previously as to 2 and 3. The resolution was discussed in closed executive session because there was 4 proposals before you. And there was qualitative and quantitative discussions going on, both what was the cost going to be and what were the relative values of the various firms. So that's why the council discussed it in the closed session. Why was it not bid on? I don't know if the planners are ever bid on. I'm sure the Harbor Consultants is not hired as a consultant bid by the planning board. It's a professional service. It's a professional service, yeah.
It's not a bid.
That's not a bid.
But professional service is not bid, no.
Yeah, no. And it was here, we had 4 proposals that the council asked me to get, and that's what was provided to you. I will leave it to the council as to the deciding factor. I resent the question. It's the question of my professionalism. But I will tell you that, I'll leave that be. I will recall for you, however, that what I said to you is you had 4 proposals from 4 very competent firms, all of which could serve you very well, and that you would make the decisions based on qualitative factors. And while not getting into the specifics of their closed session, everyone had their various views on the relative strengths and weaknesses of each firm, and you made a decision based on that. I think you all recall that my recommendation was you can't make a mistake with regard to whoever you hire. Am I independent of Rousseau is beneath my dignity to respond to constantly that I represent you, I'm fortunate to represent, I personally fortunately represent about 12 to 14 communities. I take my job very seriously, and I appreciate the opportunity to represent you as I represent other communities. To the very best of my ability, my firm is well known, has been around for 40 years. We do almost exclusively public work, and to question our independence is, again, beneath, comment on that. What role you will have the planning board play in the future is a decision you'll make in the future. There's two choices, as you're well aware, as I've discussed with you. You can have the planning board draft a redevelopment plan, or you can draft a redevelopment plan. Given the interplay over this last redevelopment plan, I think the decision was made, and I'm going to speak for any of you, the decision was made that if you're going to use the vernacular, wear the result, you're going to take charge of the process. And that is the decision you made to hire a planner and take control of the redevelopment plan process for the second phase going forward. So other than that, I think I addressed everything in here. If there's any questions from the council, I'd be happy to address. Thank you.
Mr. Giannotti, just one comment, is that I mentioned before, I talked to Mr. Green, chairman of the planning board, and we had anticipate having a few meetings after this meeting to discuss these issues. Thank you. Mr. Nearset, you were next.
Thank you, Mayor Lombardo. I was debating whether to get up or not because Mr. Giannotti basically said everything, but I had spoken to Steve Green, and I apologize, yes, 320 Woodbury Avenue. And I do think I need to add a few, not clarify, elucidate a few items. With all due respect, the issue is not who council hired, but the process that was used and how that changed the future process. Gene just read the planning board letter raising awareness of the board's concerns about council's recent actions regarding the redevelopment process. I've been asked to explain in more detail what led to the board's action and why they would appreciate a written response from this council. As you know, governing bodies are not expected, and council members are not expected to know everything. You have an issue regarding health, you ask the health director. You have an issue regarding recreation, you ask the recreation director or commission. The planning board by statute is the planning entity of the borough. In the past, the planning board reviewed proposals, received 4 consultants, hired their redevelopment consultants in public session. The consultants responded to them, whether it was for the rezonings that resulted in the development of the Home Depot, ShopRite, Point, and Muse. The planning board heard the requests, reviewed redevelopment with their consultants, and approved plans. Made recommendations to city council were appropriate. The South Avenue redevelopment plan, for instance, was the result of many, I have that capitalized, planning board subcommittee meetings, planning board public hearings, and hours of planning board consultants' time. Now it appears, and it's obvious, that the council has changed the process. Council reviewed proposals received for the creation of the second phase of the South Avenue redevelopment plan, not planning board. Council reviewed the proposals in closed session. I don't know how. Not open. The council adopted a resolution hiring a consultant without public comment. These are the concerns of the board. Now the council hired a consultant and asked them to report to the council. The planning board wonders, as Mr. Giannotti stated, what its role in the new process will be. Will the council hold hearings on the plan as it is being developed? I'm well aware you hold the hearing at the end to adopt. Will the planning board hold those hearings? Will council just allow the planning board to statutorily require a 35-day time frame to review the document that is submitted to council? Or will the planning board hold its own hearing? Will the planning board be allowed to hold its own hearings at its own deliberate pace with public input? Just as important is the perception the council has given to the planning board by taking the action it did. Is council not satisfied with the past planning board actions? If so, why didn't council voice their concerns to the planning board before changing the process? The planning board is also concerned about the costs of the borough. It was our understanding, and I corrected the attorney earlier, the borough planner works for the planning board and he is paid by the borough residents, whoever is hired by the council for the development. Sir? whoever is hired for redevelopment is hired through an escrow. The planning board attorney who works for the planning board and comes to planning board meetings is hired by the borough. It was our understanding the redevelopment attorney was hired to review the redevelopment plan and make recommendations and draft the redevelopment agreement. It appears now that the redevelopment attorney has gone beyond that and is going to be involved in the redevelopment plan creation process because, as he just stated, it's going to be submitted to this board and he will be submitting bills. This will cost the borough more as the planning board attorney has never submitted an extra bill for his redevelopment time. I guarantee you the redevelopment attorney's bills and hourly fee is far higher than planning board attorneys. Just as new borough engineer, which this council recently advertised, is going to cost us more than Don Boreella. You can say, I'm almost done. Okay. You can say, the borough is not paying the bill and the redeveloper will. I'm well aware of the process. But those costs get built into a model for development. And if a redeveloper is going to be paying additional costs, upwards perhaps, I can state this from past professional experience, upwards of $100,000, okay, the plan will be altered because of those additional costs. Perhaps amenities will be reduced, perhaps materials will be changed. Last sentence. Basically, the planning board is concerned that its role in the redevelopment process has been diminished in the manner the way council has acted. The council has acted in a questionable way in hiring a planning consultant for the redevelopment process. Having plans submitted to the governing body rather than the planning board will result in additional costs. And the planning board would like to know why council is proceeding in this manner. We are aware the council can do what it is proposing. We just want to know why, what it means for the redevelopment process going forward, and what the planning board role in this process will be. I thank you for letting me.
Thank you. And I have one question of you. Would you please send that electronically to Ms. Ariane?
That's okay, because it was long, I just summarized it.
Last time, I guess you didn't like that.
You see your notes on there, right? That's okay,
Thank you. I just want to make sure that we
Yeah,
get
he had too many
clarification.
notes on there, so it wasn't that.
Mayor, if we can comment after public comment, I suggest.
You don't have to bring all your books up, Mr. Patterson. It's okay.
I get heavy after a while.
Nobody will pay.
Good evening, Mayor Lombardo, gentlemen of the council, Bruce Patterson, 325 Little Avenue. First, thank you very much, Councilman Lastro. You do seem to be above the fray, and you're a very good statesman. I appreciate your explanations of your thinking before, so thank you very much for that. Also, you know, the mayor's council, what was it called, the mayor's roundtable?
That's correct.
Did anybody talk about reassessment? Because
Matter of fact, they did. They mentioned one resident. I acknowledge that you're a resident of Garwood. And basically, they said that for them to fund that would be illegal, and also too, you can't fund one community and not another. And also too, they're issuing the information to reevaluate, so you can't pay for their own process.
this is the county telling you.
That was the chairman of the boards.
Oh,
But he
perfect.
he did acknowledge that you were pursuing that back.
Okay, but anyway, Mountainside now is another domino.
Yes.
Okay.
As we're
Thank you.
all aware. And I'm just speaking first on the fence ordinance that's coming up on the agenda. And I'm going to ask you to table it only because somehow something's lacking and really needs to be addressed, obviously. And the reason why I'm asking that is that I saw this letter from the planning board and their explanation that they're not supporting it because, and as they say, would have detrimental consequences. The planning board does not support the ordinance. Now what's amazing is this is a work product from the planning board. Planning board members sat here and they demanded questions to be answered from you, and yet then they send this letter not supporting the planning board and saying detrimental consequences, and yet they don't go into any explanation what it is. It's like anyone's guess. We don't like it, it's yours, figure it out yourself. Doesn't make any sense at all. The planning board is supposed to be working for the residents of Garwood, for the governing body, so there's supposed to be obviously some kind of correspondence between the two, and all they come out with, we don't like it. And that is just wrong. I wrote a letter to the Westfield Reader. I mean, we got some major issues with the planning board. I mean, now the planning board feels slighted because you hired a planner, and, they're starting to feel irrelevant. You know what, they should, they actually should be, because my letter that I wrote to the Westfield Leader explains pretty much in depth that they lost critical thinking, that they make ridiculous statements. Another thing I didn't throw in that letter, but I mean, like, they call a special meeting and spend taxpayers' money and resources. And when I asked the chair why was the special meeting called, he said, because I can. Because I can. And that's a shame, because what does that tell you? It's not telling you anything. And it's not responding to a resident's question. And for lack of a better word, I think the planning board is kind of getting kind of soft and squishy. It's no critical thinking. Suddenly, suddenly they're affronted with, you're taking it on yourself to do something. And then all of a sudden they start saying all sorts of stuff. So,
Would you like to summarize now, please?
yeah, I will summarize. And in my letter to the Westfield Leader, I mentioned maybe you should disband the planning board, but that obviously probably cannot be done. But I think it was worth saying in the letter. But I do have a couple of more suggestions over and above that. Maybe for the, maybe you should have a planning board part B, I guess you could say, for all these major developments that are coming up, and actually have some reasonable people sitting on the planning board just not nodding their head, and that's it, just agreeing and being cliquish and stuff like that. We faced this Matrix South project, and it was a learning curve, and to me, that's my opinion, we failed miserably. I mean, somehow the residents and the borough's interests were kind of pushed aside.
Okay.
Just another couple more suggestions. Maybe, well, we'll leave it at that.
Okay, we appreciate that.
Yeah, and just one last, maybe you should get the planning board actually.
Sincerely, why don't you come to Mayor Saturday? I'll be here at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll be glad to talk to you
Okay.
about that. But one thing
Thank
is
you.
maybe you should push to have the planning board people actually have a little refresher course on reading drawings. Maybe that helps a lot.
I believe they're all certified in planning class, whatever that is.
Yeah, everybody gets certified,
Yes.
but you really don't get certified in reading drawings and understanding what it is. And I think that's also what makes it issue.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Hi, everyone. How are you this
Good
evening?
evening.
Cheryl Niedermeyer, 602 Center Street. And, well, I start like this. It's no great secret that I was the individual that brought a lawsuit against the Borough of Garwood for my 6-foot fence on corner property. And it just, piqued my interest when I saw that this was coming to light again. And I'm really not coming up here to criticize or anything, but I'm asking that maybe there is some searching into this. Corner property owners are at a disadvantage. We have less privacy, we have less security on our properties. We are on display, so to speak. And without proper fencing, it makes, your living experience a little bit less. And I believe that it should be available. Perhaps it's in the setback. If there's an issue where some people believe that it is giving off a tunnel effect, I'm sorry, I think a property owner's rights override somebody's preference in visuals, okay? But I'm just asking that, maybe you look at the setback, that maybe that would assist in not having a tunnel effect. But it's something to think of because it's a tough call on corner property for privacy. And that's all I wanted to say tonight. Thank you.
for coming.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Had some small comments?
Yes, about the comments made on the planning board, I do appreciate the statement being read. I think it's good for the benefit of the public to hear what the planning board formally sent over to the mayor and council. Also, procedurally, considering it came up tonight again between the interaction between the Board of Education member and the mayor and council, Mr. Neer said, were you speaking on behalf of the board or yourself? Was there an individual that had asked you to make that further statement? I don't know if that's really appropriate to answer right now. We could maybe chat about that later, but.
The chairman was aware that I was going to say something.
Okay, thank you. Just because I feel as though it really is important to have this dialogue between various entities here to represent and do the people's work. But how we go about it, I think we should really, just make sure we're on the up and up of that. And I'm not saying we weren't, but I just wanted to know where the statement was coming from, if it was as an individual or on behalf of the entire planning board. As far as having more communication between the planning board and the borough council, I'm all in favor of that. Mayor, I think it's great that you have already taken the initiative with the planning board chairman. I myself reached out to him as well, and I think we can move forward very positively. Perhaps there could be a subcommittee of the planning board with
They
the
already have the subcommittee.
Okay, maybe that particular subcommittee can then take some kind of role in terms of any future redevelopment. I'd like to see the planning board and the mayor and council both have very active roles. To speak to what Mr. Northgrave had touched on earlier, a couple things. One is reason for the change in procedure and putting a little bit more on the mayor and council and making us more active. Affordable housing has made us have to address those issues very quickly and very thoroughly, so that's been on us. And also, the residents, when they speak to us about redevelopment, they seem to want us to take a bit more of an active role. So that's why I was in favor of us actually generating the next plan. But obviously, I do welcome the planning board feedback into that. I did have a couple other notes here. I'm sorry, Mayor. As far as the RFP, so we went out for proposals for professional services like we've done on a number of other professionals we've hired. We do always discuss that in closed session, but the vote does take place in public. And I have to say, hindsight 2020, I wish at that meeting I had explained my vote that night, but I would concur with what Councilman Lazaro brought up. We reviewed the 4 proposals. I know I did my homework, other council people did as well. We had a discussion and then we had a subsequent vote. So it came out to the quality of the proposals, quite honestly, in terms of how I voted on that. And I think that's really all I have. So I think we can answer all those questions that were brought up with that meeting taking place between the subcommittee of the planning board and the mayor and maybe a couple council people.
Absolutely.
Plus, we do have the mayor and council liaison go to the planning board meeting, so I'm kind of upset to see the breakdown of communication, but I'm confident we can fix that.
Well, I must apologize. I missed that meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
I just have a couple things. As far as the vote on all the questions you had this evening, obviously I recused myself. I abstained from that vote because quite frankly, I don't agree with anything with this redevelopment plan, except for how it may look. It will look like everything else. It's too big, it's too dense. I believe we had tons of executive sessions, private sessions with the subcommittee. We didn't get a hold of any of this stuff until pretty much it was done. I believe the mayor does have the right to represent the citizens as elected officials to have a say in this. I mean, quite frankly, to be honest, where's your gavel?
No.
I don't like the way the planning board works. I don't like the way the planning board works.
It's inappropriate.
All right, well, I was on the planning board with 2 different mayors, and I saw the way it worked, and quite frankly, I was very unhappy with it. So I can go on and on about this, but I won't. Also, to address Mrs. Niedermeyer, I believe in private property rights above all else. And I believe that anybody, no matter where they live in town, should have the same rights as everybody else. As long as the fence ordinance meets within the guidelines of the setbacks, I don't think it should be an issue. I mean, why should somebody have less privacy than somebody that lives in the middle of a block? I just don't think it's right, and I totally support it. That's why I had it introduced, that's why we spoke about it. We may disagree on it, but hey, that's the way I feel about it totally. So thank you very much for speaking tonight. Thank you, Mr. Nierstedt, for everything you had to add. That's about all I've got.
Okay. We'll move on then. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Should we just continue on, council? Okay. Please rise for a moment of silence and salute to the flag.
Would you like allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a notice of this meeting provided to Westville Leader advertised on January 5th, 2017. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and promptly posted on the municipal public bulletin board and filed in the office of the municipal clerk, performing the public and town according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, ETPL 1975. Please lower your cell phones and shut them off. Put them on vibrate. Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Ariema.
Mayor Lombardo?
Here.
Councilman Blumenstock? Here. Councilman Kukrow?
Here.
Councilman Lazaro?
Here.
Councilman Petrozelli?
Here.
Councilman Sarno is absent. Council President Disco? Yes, he's
Here.
whatever.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, Ms. Ariema, minutes.
Regular workshop and executive session minutes of the mayor and council held on May 23rd, 2017, and special meeting minutes of the mayor and council held on June 5th, 2017.
Motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Ariema, communications.
New Jersey State League of Municipalities, Mayor's Advisory,
Receive and file.
Union County Board of Coastal Freeholders Ordinance,
Receive and file.
Warrior Valley Sewage Authority Minutes,
Receive and file.
Guard Board of Education and memo,
Receive and file.
Guard Planning Board Minutes.
Receive and file. Ordinances, public hearing on ordinance 17-07 and 17-08, as advertised in the Westfield Leader. Ms. Ariema, please read ordinance 17-07 by title only.
Next, Mayor, an ordinance repealing Chapter 34, Article 2 of the Code of the Borough of Berwick, Cottage Police Department ranks and classification.
Do you have any correspondence on this ordinance 17-07?
No, Mayor.
Does anyone wish to be heard on 17-07? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Lombardo, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Council Bruce Patterson, District 5 Will Avenue. What does the paragraph say? This is now repealed in its entirety.
I can answer him, Mayor.
Would you please, Ms. Ariema?
Mr. Patterson, 2 years ago, we modified a police contract where we had those ranks and classifications. Now we have steps.
Yeah.
So we didn't modify the code to have steps because the contract has steps. So we did away with those classifications. There's no longer those classes of police folks. They have steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, et cetera, et cetera. We just didn't catch that until recently.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion to close public hearing on ordinance 17-07?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 17-07?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Ariema.
Councilman Blumenstock.
Aye.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro.
Aye.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Council President Disco.
Aye.
Ms. Ariema, read ordinance 17-08 by title only, please.
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance to amend subsection H in 106-118 fences and walls in Article 8 zone regulations in Chapter 106 land use of the Code of Borough of Berwick to amend restrictions on fences on corner lots.
Do you have any correspondence on 17-08?
None, Mayor.
Does anyone present wish to be heard concerning ordinance 17-08?
Good evening, Mayor, and gentlemen, Council Bruce Patterson, 225 Will Avenue. As I stated in the previous meeting, I'm requesting that this be tabled due to the letter from the planning board, which says would have detrimental consequences. The planning board does not support this ordinance, and yet there's no suggestions or no idea of why they actually are not supporting it. So I think maybe you should reach out back to them and have them clarify that letter. So table it in the meantime and make them feel that they're important again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion to close public hearing on ordinance 17-08?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 17-08?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion.
I have to move first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Alphabetical order, I guess. Yes, is that way you do it?
Okay, you say so.
No.
No?
Not this class.
Would you like to speak, Councilwoman? Go right ahead.
I just had a couple of questions for the committee. I just wanted to know the origin of how this came about, that you just decided to look at this now. I just really don't know the background of how this happened.
Well, the planning board, I mean, you were allowed to put 6-foot fences up before. The planning board modified it, and then after it was modified, we incurred a lawsuit because there was a 6-foot fence on a corner property with a pool. They went through 2 years of litigation where they finally sued the town and won. And they finally amended that to say that corner properties can have 6-foot fences. We didn't change any of the guidelines, any of the setbacks. If you meet the proper setbacks, I rode all over Bartlett. I don't see anything that's out of the norm. And quite frankly, I watched the planning board meeting, and the only reason they gave was, I don't like the way it looks. It's not their option. If you watch the planning board meeting, it was on video. It's 25 minutes. That's all they said.
Is there anything in particular that caused this to come up now, though, that we're looking at this particular ordinance at this point?
Well, I was
That
unhappy.
was 2 years ago?
I was unhappy with it before. You know.
So you brought it to the committee?
Yes, I brought it to the committee.
If I may just jump in real quick, I think the first time we went around with this fencing is that there was a pool involved.
Right.
It was a 4-foot versus 6-foot, so, and yes, they did sue the town, and it worked out. As far as I'm concerned.
So just to clarify, I mean, this ordinance doesn't have to do with pools though, per se.
No.
That's right.
So it's a different issue
That's
than
correct.
the actual lawsuit you were talking
Right. The
about.
lawsuit was because of the pool, because this, Mrs. Niedermeyer put up, they requested a 4-foot fence. Now, anybody that has a built-in pool knows that homeowners insurance requires a 6-foot fence, so I don't know how the planning board figured they would override homeowners insurance. Obviously, it's a safety issue. You don't want anybody squeezing and jumping over the fence and drowning in somebody's pool. And I was really unhappy about it when they did it. But they did modify it to accommodate corner properties with a pool. But like I said before, I'm also heavy duty into private property rights. I don't believe one individual should have more property rights than another. The setbacks are a really important part of this, because if the setbacks aren't met, you know, they could look like, and I did go look at East, I looked at all these streets, and I didn't see a problem with the way it looked. I mean, all the planning board said was, I don't like it, it's against what I feel. They didn't give any concrete evidence except they just did.
If I may, I'll just say this at this point, I'll go on record and say I agree with Mr. Patterson. It should be tabled, and it should go back to the planning board. They are the keeper of our land use ordinances, and they should be asked the reason why.
Well, I mean, just,
Did you have
so
another
you
question? I know you said you had
Well, I
another
do, but
question.
just so everybody does know, I did speak with a couple of planning board members just to get their opinions on it, so I do know their exact reasons why. But were there any residents that came to you? I know you're not for that, like you wanted a 6 feet fence, but did this come out of?
Yeah, I had a few people complain to me. I didn't feel the need to put their names forward.
Okay.
But, I mean, I think one was just approved. And,
So they did, there is an ability for a resident to seek a variance.
well, there was no variance sought that I know of. So, you know, basically, I know we discussed grandfathering it. You know, I thought it was a really good idea, but then I feel like it leaves a lot of the other residents out. I mean, you know, like I said, I'm really about private property rights. They're paying good taxes on the property. And I believe unless it's something detrimental to the surrounding properties and to the township, I think they should be allowed to do it.
I'm just gonna say, I mean, I feel very uncomfortable voting for this right now without, I also can agree with Mr. Patterson's suggestion of tabling it, so that the planning board can present more specific information to enlighten us on some of the specific reasons on why this is, you know, a negative for the town. I'd also talked to the planning board members, but, you know, to be quite frank, you know, some of the things that they said, some of the things I definitely understood, but I think it would be better to be articulated in writing, so that way we can really make a more judicious decision. So I'm also in favor of tabling it.
Mayor, a couple things. One is, Councilwoman Kukrow brought this up because I brought it up in committee, the idea of possibly grandfathering in if you have a property that has an existing 6-foot fence and you would just like to replace it, and it is following all the setback guidelines, I'd be more comfortable with that than perhaps rewriting a whole rule unless there was a real outpouring from the community to do this. But it's something that, Mayor, I know you go to the planning board meetings, and we do have a council liaison for that as well that I would have said this to tonight. additionally, but I would like to hear or, see in writing what the planning board might think about a compromise like that, where existing property owners could do that. It's a balancing act because I'm all for private property rights too, but obviously in a residential neighborhood, you also can't, just cover your entire lot with pavement because you want to and you don't want to cut your grass. Like, there are certain rules in place for various reasons, and so I just would like to see a little more discussion on it, hear what the planning board has to say in more depth, and in writing. Mr. Lazaro, I agree with you. Finally, procedurally, Catherine, we have a motion and a second for this ordinance, but now people are talking about making a motion to table. So can the first one possibly die if the person that seconded it took it back, and then we have a motion to table? Or how does this work?
No, I don't know that you can withdraw the motion that's already pending.
Okay, but if it,
So have
They
to
could-
get to
I'm
that
sorry, what?
point. Motion to table is prevailing, or does it have to come before the motion to do?
They could motion, this is the problem, having discussion after you make a motion.
okay.
So you should move to table it if there obviously sounds like there are a number of.
So I'll make that motion to table then.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need a roll call, Ms. Ariema?
I don't think any roll call.
Not on a motion to
Okay,
table.
thank you very much.
Okay, Mayor, I just have a couple comments about it.
Okay.
As far as trying to grandfather things in and, trying to make it so that it's a town-wide thing where anyone, any corner property, any property, that's in the middle of the street can put up a 6-foot fence. I just feel that, a 4-foot fence on a corner property, it is a problem, for people, who do live on that, especially, when you put your pool in, which I understand, and that was actually corrected, so that this way, if there is a pool involved, you can put up the 6-foot fence. I just think that it should be a case-by-case basis. I mean, I'm okay with tabling it, trying to get an answer back from the planning board, but I think that if someone wants to put up a 6-foot fence and they live on a corner property, I think that they should come in and they should get the variance in order to go forward with it. Because I see them advertised in other towns. It's not that Garwood is the only town that doesn't allow it. In Cranford, if you drive down Lexington, just as you make the left-hand turn onto Chester Lang, there's a house right across the street that has an in-ground pool, has a 6-foot, or has a 4-foot fence, and they just planted a bunch of bushes in the front, just to get their privacy. So I just think that in here, in Garwood, it shouldn't just be a town-wide thing where you can put up 6-foot fences wherever you want, corner property or other. I think that they should come in and that they should get a variance.
Costs money to get a variance.
Thank you, Councilman. So we have tabled the ordinance, further input by the planning board is required. We move on to Ms. Ariema, ordinance 73-08.
Okay, borrow 9.
I stand corrected, 09.
Okay. An ordinance for this introduction, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of traffic control devices and equipment for the use of the Garwood Police Department and appropriating the sum of $16,000 from the capital improvement fund to finance the cost thereof.
Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance 17-09?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, Ms. Ariema.
Councilwoman Blumenstock. Aye. Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro.
Aye.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Council President Tedesco.
Aye.
Ms. Ariema, please read ordinance 17-10 by title only.
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance fixing the salaries and wages of certain officials and employees of the Borough of Garden and County of Union, State of New Jersey.
Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance 17-10?
So moved, Mayor?
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Ariema.
Councilwoman Blumenstock. Aye. Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro.
Aye.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Council President Tedesco.
Aye.
Thank you. Council standing committee reports and other reports. Police, Councilman Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Garwood Rock Street Fair was a great success. Happy to report that there were no major incidents, arrests, or injuries as a result of the event. Dispatcher in training, Lisa DeSimone, is nearing the end of her training period and is expected to be placed on schedule with her regular assignment by the end of the month. Teddy Bear is home safe. During the 48-hour period from June 10th through June 12th, Mr. Bear made a trek through Summit, Westfield, Cranford, and eventually wandering into Garwood. With the assistance of the New Jersey Fish and Wildlife Administration, we were able to relocate him back to the wild, safe and sound. There are only a few more days left of school, so please remember to drive safely, especially during the summer hours when more children are out on foot and riding their bicycles. That's all for my report, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilman. Public Health, Councilwoman Kukrow.
No report, Mayor. Our next meeting, I feel like it's been forever, is next week.
Thank you. Streets and Roads Ecology, Councilwoman Blumenstock. Bless you.
You're spreading germs all over the place. I feel like just drifted over.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
In addition to regular garbage duties, the DPW prepared Center Street, Borough Hall grounds, and the parking lot, as well as the municipal parking lot for Garwood Rocks. They provided assistance for setup and cleanup of the event, and the Garwood DPW then removed the Garwood Rocks pole banners following the street fair. Other activities completed by the DPW included weeding and installing new mulch around borough shade trees in front of the business district, and weeding the mulch beds at Borough Hall and the rec complex. They also continue to assist administration in the disposal of old files from Borough Hall, transporting them to the storage facility on South Avenue. Also, as we spoke before, both council people and residents have spoken about the trucks and equipment for certain roads getting up in years and needing repairs on a regular basis. So I just want to keep everyone up to date. As of today, both our sweeper and our bucket truck are out of commission. And we also just had a pickup truck come back in from the shop from repairs. That's all for my report now.
Thank you, Councilman. Any fire report for Councilman Sarno this evening? Hearing none. Finance, Council President Tedesco.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Buildings and Grounds, Councilman Lazaro.
Thank you, Mayor. As mentioned at previous council meetings, the Buildings and Grounds Committee worked hard in trying to design a much-needed improvement to Hartman Park to replace equipment that is rusted over 25 years old. Union County has just announced their 2017 Kids Recreation Trust Fund Grant opportunity that focuses on improving summer recreational programs for the youth of our country. With the current proposal, we will be adding park equipment geared towards multiple age groups that will continue to attract young families to Garwood due to the access to new improved equipment that is safer and will make the park more ADA compliant. Also, the proposal includes installation of mulch, a concrete curb for the playground border, removal of one of the existing basketball courts to accommodate the playground area, concrete to create a border surrounding the remaining court, swing set that includes 4 regular belts and 2 swing designed for younger children, new tables, benches, and trash receptacles. The total cost from the one vendor we met with would be $106,462. This is an application for the grant and does not commit us to actually spend the money if we do receive a matching grant. In addition, the choices of equipment can be changed to reduce overall costs once we are able to see how much money we can get from the grant. But the idea is that to make the proposal higher at first to see that we can get the maximum amount of money from this particular grant. So I want to encourage the council to support this proposal. I believe the date for that is August 30th, the deadline for.
That's correct.
14, so what will happen is you can just, I would take that you direct me to prepare the grant application, and next council meeting will be a resolution authorizing you to submit that, and you'll have a formal vote on it. Great, okay?
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, there will be a formal vote on it when? Before the money's spent?
No,
Because it's-
I'm just submitting the grant.
Okay, all right.
That's the one grant to see how much we can get from Union County.
I have to have authorization from you to submit the grant. That's what the resolution will
Okay,
say.
because
You're
this is an
authorizing
awful lot
me
of
to
money. All right,
submit the grant.
just to submit the grant, because otherwise we won't be in it if you don't submit the grant.
And one more item, just an update on the rec center. The council held a special meeting on June 5th to hire the Falcon Group to prepare specifications and construction management to repair the water infiltration at the sports complex. The project will include minor construction repairs to stop their water penetration and repair the damaged flooring. I will be able to provide more information on the timeline as the process unfolds. And that's all from my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Laws and License, Councilman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a very productive meeting. As a matter of fact, we're going to be having another one tomorrow. We had been working on a sign ordinance, trying to finish that up. We did send to Tina the adjustments we made to the previous one. It was sent to full council to review. We made a few minor alterations. The property maintenance ordinance has been a long time coming. It was way more than any of us thought it was going to be, and we now know why it was languishing for years. We'll continue working on that and hopefully get it finished up in the next few months. The towing fee schedule we have also been working on. We did get an evaluation from surrounding towns, and we're close to finally finishing that up. There were just a few particulars we were working on to get an ordinance to finally introduce to council, and I see the chief is here tonight. Maybe if he has time, he can explain some of the things that Mr. Renaud sent over to us, so we can clear that up and have one more thing under our belt. The fence ordinance, which we already discussed, was on the agenda this evening, so we hopefully won't forget that. Personally, I believe the ordinance should be amended as we all set forth in our introduction to the last council meeting. It's a private property rights issue. I do believe that everyone should have the same rights no matter where their property is located. Raffle licenses. The committee recommends the adoption of resolution number 17-125 for the application of one off-premise 50/50 raffle license to be drawn on September 22nd at the Westwood by Mother Seton Regional High School. The committee also recommends the adoption of resolution number 17-128 for the application of one off-premise merchandise raffle, one on-premise merchandise raffle, and one on-premise 50/50 raffle to be drawn October 19th at the Westwood to benefit the St. Joseph Social Service Center. And I think that's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, the towing ordinance, I comment to you all that needs to go back to committee. You can't sit here and debate all those matters.
I wasn't going to let them.
Okay, and then the sign ordinance, I believe, I just want to remind council that workshop is the time you would bring up discussion. This area of the meeting is for you to make a report. And the sign ordinance has, I mean, are you directing Mr. Renard to prepare an ordinance that, well, you already prepared an ordinance. You didn't give that direction in workshop. So what is it that you want him to do? Because that was the time for you to do that. Now you're in.
I thought we gave direction
Yeah, we did.
at the last council meeting about that, and then the changes are basically
I got this on
reflecting.
June 7th. I forwarded on June 7th. I don't think so.
Well, we brought it up at the last council meeting.
It was
right?
brought up.
We were going to finish going over the last
But
one's license.
you said you were going to give him something, but you didn't give it to him until June 7th. So when you gave it to him, you gave it to me, it was JP pictures. It was pictures. And with notes all over it. He has to interpret what you mean. I can't even interpret what you mean.
Okay.
So you need to
Well,
tell
we're
him.
reading
what
It
we
says,
meant.
add Bob,
But
tell
that seems to
Bob.
be a small problem.
What is it you want to tell Bob? I mean, Bob's not
I
here.
mean, we certainly will prepare a draft for it. I think we just need a little bit more.
A little more, no problem.
Okay.
We are meeting tomorrow, and I believe Councilman Kugero's report was just reporting our updates that we still have a number of items pending. So we'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll get
Okay.
more details over to Mr. Renat, no problem.
Yes.
All right, and then the fee, the planning board fee, recommended, you're still working on that, correct?
Well, Mr. Renaud sent us over a big, long thing about why this.
No, this is planning board fees, not towing fees.
Okay.
Forget towing fees, that's not here right now.
I was actually going to ask about the planning board fees, but that, with Councilman Sarno not being here tonight, is the liaison,
Okay, so you bring us up next
I
time?
was on that.
I'll keep this pending.
unless you
What
want
is
to
your
speak to it,
question?
Mayor.
No, I'm just saying that I, myself, former Councilman Bellagio, and
Sure.
Bob Sure was on the committee, and we reviewed all those fees, and we thought they're very appropriate to be adjusted.
So when you're ready, you can direct the attorney, but you should do it in workshop.
Okay.
You need to-
I believe that was my next question, because you and Councilman Sarno are at the planning board meeting, so then.
He wasn't on that subcommittee.
Okay, but, so essentially, they unanimously agree to send this over to us now. As mayor, would you like that going to laws and license, or is it for the whole council to discuss? Probably
I don't
isn't.
mind taking it to laws and license because we did the other fees for the,
This is what it was. Okay,
Yes, Councilwoman, would you please review that?
okay.
yes, I have it here. We will review it tomorrow too.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Moving on, Recreation, Councilwoman Petrozelli.
No report, Mayor. Our meeting's not until next month.
Okay, thank you, sir. Norwich Senior Citizen Liaison, Councilwoman Blumenstock.
On our June 1st meeting, we had a representative from Cranford Rehab and Nursing Center visit to speak a little bit about what to do if you have to go to the emergency room or have a hospital stay. Insurance plans, especially Medicare, have changed so much in the last few years, and policies regarding stays and coverage have changed as well. So she advised that when you go into the hospital, you get specific confirmation that you are being admitted rather than just staying for observation, as that can affect whether your rehabilitation at a nursing facility is covered. She also recommended that you have a list of your medications with you and that you get a complete list of every doctor that sees you. And most importantly, she advised that you have someone, either a child or a friend or family member, there to ask your questions and write down all of the answers. There are still openings for the June 26th trip to Atlantic City, and it is open to everyone, not just seniors, so please let me know if you are interested. Also, the senior picnic is being held on June 29th at the Rec Complex. Our next meeting is this Thursday, June 15th. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The library's representative, Councilman Lazaro.
Thank you, Mayor. Registration for the summer reading has started on yesterday, June 12th, and this year's theme is Build a Better World. And just today, the library presented their summer reading kickoff event, Build a Better World Engineering Challenge Assembly at Lincoln School for grades K through 5. During the presentation, a scientist supervised construction by audience members. Together they engineered arches, including a 5-foot keystone arch, towers, and bridges using different geometric shapes. Every Tuesday during summer reading will be a craft day. Wednesdays will be a Build a Better Wednesday. Activities include building with newspapers, popsicle sticks, and spaghetti. Next Friday, June 23rd, the library will present an exotic animal show. Children will meet 8 different mammals, including a wallaby, sugar glider, and armadillo. Children will learn what makes an animal a mammal and get to understand each mammal's unique characteristics. Also, the library launched Zinio, a digital magazine app, which actually I did download recently. It's pretty cool. It allows our patrons to check out over 65 digital magazines through the library website using their library card number as their password. Magazines such as Better Homes and Gardens, Family Handyman highlights can be downloaded onto an iPad, PC, or phone to read anytime, online or offline. And as always, the ongoing programs include the Knitting Club every Monday and Thursday at 10:30, book clubs Monday afternoon through June 19th and Thursday evening, Kids Craft every Tuesday at 3 p.m. through July 25th, Story Time every Wednesday at 10:30 through June 21st, Adult Chess Club every Wednesday at 7 p.m., Lego Club every Thursday in July at 3 p.m., Movie Time every Friday at 10 a.m. through June 16th, and the Garwood Library is open Monday through Thursday from 9 to 8 p.m., Fridays from 9 to 4:30 p.m., and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. through June 24th. And that's all for my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Does anyone have a school board report for Councilman Sarno? Hearing none, celebration of public events and holidays, Council President Tedesco.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. The annual Memorial Day Remembrance Service was a very well-attended event this year with almost 75 people there. Thanks again to the Mayor for inviting the guest speaker, Garwood resident Gene Payne, who did a wonderful job providing the audience with insight from the greatest generation, as he is a World War II veteran who served in the construction battalion called the Seabees in the Pacific. They were a group ready to build docks and more, but also ready to take up arms in a moment's notice. And for those that were wondering, Bob Hope never visited him. So thank you to the volunteers of the Celebrations Committee for again making this a heartfelt event to honor those men and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms that we get to enjoy as Americans. And that's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Union County Air Traffic Noise Advisory Board Representative, Councilwoman Blumenstock.
No report, Mayor. Our next meeting is June 26th.
Thank you. Administrative Review Committee, Councilwoman Kukrow.
No report, Mayor. We'll still see when the next meeting is going to be.
Thank you. Historical Committee, Council President Tedesco.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm very happy to announce that the Historical Committee's first ever rock cut was extremely successful, and the booth they had at the Garwood Rock Street Fair was checked out by many. Out of the 20 rocks spread around town with the names of historical sites or topics, 16 were returned to the booth. 2 more are on their way to get returned to the committee, and there are 2 outstanding, so if you have it at home, please bring it forward to claim your prize. I spoke with a number of families or individuals that had found these rocks around town, and they were really happy with the Garwood Historical Committee t-shirt, as well as they were really impressed with the booklet detailing each of the 20 rocks with the topics that were on those, because here in Garwood we really do have a truly impressive history for such a small town, so it's great that this committee has been working so hard to spread the word about that. And I want to thank the small but mighty historical committee for all their effort and time on this. You really are making a positive difference in Garwood, and that's all for my
Thank you,
report.
Council President. Any reports on the parking committee? Hearing none, officers' reports.
Chief of Police James Wright, monthly report for April and May 2017. Zoning Code Enforcement Officer Lenny Capano, monthly report for May 2017. That's it.
Do you have a motion to accept officers' reports?
So moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Move on. Public comment. Is anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone. State your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Your 3 minutes started already, so hurry up.
Breaking news, we got a rock. The Borough Hall rock.
Oh, one came in?
Yeah, the Borough Hall rock.
Ah, terrific.
This guy says, hold it up.
There it is. Isn't it beautifully painted, Sam?
That was the one you actually hit right in front of the school, right?
Oh, yes. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Just the rec complex, Councilman Lazaro mentioned about Falcon. Is there a report now, a damage report already generated?
Yes, but due to potential pending litigation that's associated with it, we can't really divulge the specifics of that.
Very well put. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Just a couple of questions. Oh, yeah, Sally Sanders, by the way.
That's correct.
She passed away. She was always talking about making it to 97 years old, and she had failing health in the past many months, and she actually made it to her birthday, which was last week. So she did make it to 97. So, and she had a very interesting life when I dropped by to talk to her. So, she was young and wild. Okay, just a couple questions from on the consent agenda. 17-126, it's talking about Burger King, the commuter parking, and that's obviously Burger King's closed now, I guess. I'm just wondering, what happened? There had to be like 34 commuters. What happened to that over there?
We never sold all those spaces. So I don't know where it went, but we never.
But they're gone.
Yeah, without running one that paid for the whole year last year.
All right, 17-127, it's a resolution requesting permission for the dedication by rider for the Green Team donations. Could somebody just
The same
explain?
exact thing we did for the history. We would get donations, we
Yep.
have the same thing.
So the green team can
When
do
you get money
donations.
like that, we can't just accept it, we have to get permission from Trent. That's getting permission from Trent to set up an account. It's not a separate account, but just to accept that money, we can't just accept the money.
Yeah, but that's not a line item though, right?
No.
Same thing with the building. It's like the historical committees.
We get donations, they get donations. We hold the money for you, we hold the money for you.
Yes, right. And any subcommittee within the
Any subcommittee can get donations until.
Just one more question. Resolution 17-130, I guess it's firming up a number. It says the entire estimated tax levy for 2017 is hereby set at $18,053,485.66. Is that number, was that discussed in the budget hearings? Is that a final, what is that?
This is just authorizing the tax collector to prepare estimated bills in case the state or the county has to confirm our tax rate. We're probably not going to do these, just probably rescind this resolution next council meeting. We do this every year. And I believe that number is based on the entire levy of the borough, not just.
County and board.
Yeah, we have to prepare a tax bill.
All right, I mean, I'm trying to get, you said this is more like a housekeeping one, and you're saying it's going to be rescinded next
Well,
week?
we don't like to do estimated bills, it's double work.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that in case we don't get the data, we can tax the people properly, but. this is
By
just-
an estimated bill?
Yeah, this is just in case we have to do it. We try not to do estimated bills, it's double work. We have stuff twice.
Yeah, you send out like a red bill or something in July.
Yeah. But next council meeting we'll know.
Okay.
And we may rescind this, but we may not.
Is it based on the state?
Yeah, wait for state and county, they have a certified tax rate, garbage long gone.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, Ms. Ariema?
Councilwoman Blumenthal. Aye. Councilman Blumer.
Yes.
Councilman Randall.
Aye.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Council President Fiscal.
Aye.
You have any-
None, Mayor.
Thank you. Any new business before the council?
I have a couple, I have a question for Mr. Northgrave, if you don't mind. Did we ever get the financial advisory report for the redevelopment? I know a resident asked for it. And also, do we get the modification for the second write-up when they lessen the amount of units?
Well, let me try to deal with the first question first. We had Ms. Edwards from Acacia was here in an executive session where we were discussing the potential change to the redevelopment plan. I don't think she ever did a formal
Yeah,
report.
I mean, I'm assuming she did one, so, I mean.
No, I don't think it's a safe assumption. I mean, if you want a report, I can have her prepare one. I generally do not have reports prepared. It is usually the financial advisor will advise the council what their recommendations are, and that was part of what we discussed as part of the redevelopment plan change, because it was all.
Yeah, I know, but all we heard was what she had to say. I mean, I would like to.
She gave us a handout.
I don't remember that. Did she give us a modification to the handout?
Not the modifications once we got the lower number of apartments, but we got the packet of the initial proposal.
Okay, I agree on that. I didn't even remember giving that.
I don't remember.
I'll let her update it and just reflect the 298, but it's, I mean, her conclusions were pretty clear as to, where we could go, and that was part of the suite of decisions that were made.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember it. I'm sure I
I'll have, because that's, candidly, it's one of, I assume we're going into executive session tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's, part of what I want to discuss with you in terms of the financial.
Yeah,
The second question was about.
Does she have, when she did the modification, when they knocked the 17 units off?
No, I'm sorry, I answered that question. No, she has not done a revised report. She has provided some information to the council, but that was in an executive session. And I'll ask her to provide you a report.
All right, does anybody, I would like to see it.
Sure.
We can further discussion in executive session.
Okay.
Right. And we've shared this publicly before, though. When we had the discussions with her, it was at 3:15, and she had definitively said that basically 315 was a conservative number. The developer was more about being right than coming in and putting out a really high number and then negotiating it down, although what the planning board did with the redeveloper was their area. That I know, for example, he did not want retail at the bottom at first, and the planning board negotiated that in. So can't speak to the number of units exactly, but basically the project worked on a slim profit line, about 6%, right, at 315. So by getting 298, perhaps I don't want to speak out of turn, but
yeah, I can get your report on, but with the change at 315, the margins were very thin, and candidly, it surprised me how thin they were. They were willing to go forward with a project with the return on investment that was that thin. It surprised Acacia as well. I do a lot of these deals. I look at a lot of the numbers. Most of what I see has rates of return above 8. Most of them are above 10. And you still need a pilot to make those happen. And his were, as you recall, they were in the high 6s. And so when we went to 298, there was an adjustment. He said he could stay at the same numbers, but that's why there was the changes to parking and all those other issues.
Correct.
So, but if you want an actual written report, I'll ask her to prepare it.
I would like a written report.
Sure.
Like I said, I'm better with everything in writing, because we never saw that, so I think that.
The only that would have to, because there's a whole lot of information there, we have to take a look at what's proprietary. That would certainly give it to you, but that may have to be, in terms of Oprah, that may have to, some of that may be proprietary, because it does affect, how they price out their projects affects their competitive advantage. Councilman, you can do. Look over your glasses at me, but
I'm looking at you.
I'm saying that they may seek to have some of that information not available.
Are they going to
publicly.
redact it like the
There'll
federal
be-
government does?
There'll be an application, there's an application that they've already filed that has most of that information in it. There is some analysis, I would think, and that's, I'll leave it to them, there may be some analysis in the report that they would not want. Some analysis they shared with us that they would not want. Every company does it differently, whether it's, you have some very large developers that have vast holdings that can run their expenses a certain way because of the economies of scale. Other people, how they actually run their, because the expenses, it's revenue and expenses, it's a whole deal. Revenue, expenses, and debt is what will give you the ROI. So, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'll get you the report.
Well, I think that bridge was long crossed, because I think a resident asked for that like about a month ago. All right, so you'll
I did not.
I'm saying there is no, right now, there's no report, and I was just.
give it out.
No, I'm saying, but a resident did ask for it, I just.
And that's fine. And as part of an open request, that would be part of the response. We'll cross that bridge.
Okay, all right.
Russo also did provide financials
Yes.
about a year ago
Yes.
from this point, when the planning board was having meetings at the school.
And
So those
there's
were
a
out there.
substantial amount of financials that are required as part of the long-term tax exemption application. And those have to be they're attached to the application, which is by definition all the time. So.
Okay, and there was just two other quick things. Chief Wright, we're going to have a laws and license meeting tomorrow, so if you can possibly get that information over to us, would that be good?
Absolutely.
And this question was for Mr. Renard, but since he's not here, he did send, I did get an email, and there was an attachment on here that was going to private residence from Victor Vinegra. So I don't know why this was passed along to a private resident and then going to council.
It's an email that Mr. Vinegar started with personal friends of his that he ended up forwarding to Mr. Renaud, that ended up to mine.
Okay.
I think it's regards to engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it shouldn't be going to
It
private.
didn't go, it didn't go from us to anybody, so it didn't go from this office.
Didn't
Well,
go
that-
from the our office.
Well, I think it was like a little bit of a mini email. I don't think you should be doing that.
Okay. Anyone else in business? Hearing none. Payment of claims, Sarah Emma.
Be resolved, the following claims as approved, being the same or equal or paid when properly signed and verified, the payment of payroll benefits is hereby confirmed and ratified.
Motion to adopt payment of claims.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Wood Cox. Aye. Councilman Kukrow.
Oh, yes.
Councilman Mazaro.
Aye.
Councilman Rizzo.
Aye.
And Council President Fiscal.
Aye.
Sarah Emma, executive session.
Resolution 17-123. Nope, 132, sorry. Closed session resolution authorizing the executive session for the purpose of discussing one, contract negotiations relating to redevelopment agreement with South Avenue Urban Renewal LLC. Two, contract negotiations with the shared services for construction code enforcement. And three, personnel matter appointing of municipal engineer and matter of attorney client privilege relating to the above. And in accordance with NJSA 10-4, closed session meetings open for public exclusion of public subject to matter, whereas it considers the mayor and council board regards conducting executive session, closing session, goes to the public in order to discuss the vote of matters. Now therefore be resolved that the council will authority would like to go into executive session in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act for the purpose of discussing subject state above and the further resolved matters discussed in and in minutes of the closed session shall be disclosed to the public when the meeting is conference out and no longer exists, and action may be taken after the closed session.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Sarah Emma.
Councilwoman Blumenthal. Aye. Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro.
Aye.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Aye.
And Council President Fiscal.
Aye.